On Thursday last week, I undertook to review the recordings of proceedings in relation to interjections made during question time. The level of interjection during question time on Thursday was unacceptable. My office and the Clerk's office received numerous complaints from members of the public about the level of interjection and the difficulty they had in hearing answers to questions. This particularly applies to members who sit near me, those to my immediate left and right, because my microphone is live at all times and picks up interjections from those members. The debating chamber is a place of robust political exchange. Interjections are permitted during question time as long as they are reasonable and not disorderly in themselves. Speaker's Ruling 1876. Loud, ongoing interjections make it very difficult for members of this House, let alone the public, to hear proceedings. I intend to take a tougher approach to disorderly interjections that may mean constant offenders will be asked to leave the chamber. With regard to question 11 last Thursday, the level of interjection was unacceptable, and I acknowledge that I should have moved to give more assistance to the relatively new member. However, the level of interjection was heightened by attempts to table documents that it seems were readily available to members. It is the responsibility of the member seeking to table a document to ascertain whether it is freely available, and I warn all members that the risk of misleading the House in this way is serious. There have been complaints from some members about the length of replies to questions. I remind all members of the requirement to ask short, relevant supplementary questions without including excessive opinions. Replies must also be concise, Standing Order 3862, which means not only short in terms of the number of words used, but also no longer than need be in order to answer the question adequately. Speaker's Ruling 1965. Replies will generally be longer than the questions that they are answering. I will be the sole adjudicator of how long a question is to be answered for, and that will be greatly affected by any level of interjection. If there are interjections, then a minister will certainly be given more latitude in responding to those. Finally, all members need to take care when they do interject. Unparliamentary reflections on any member of this House are not acceptable and will be dealt with severely. Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, there are just a few things out of your ruling that I would like to ask for clarification on, and that is, first of all, around the tabling of documents, where you've indicated that the onus is on a member to ascertain whether a document is publicly available before it can be tabled. I just want to get some reassurance from you that a best endeavours approach is the right way to go, because it isn't always possible for a member to search every available website to see whether something's available. If they've received it under the OIA, for example, they may or may not be publicly available, and a best endeavours, I think, approach should be taken to that. The second is around interjections, and that is, I think that there is a challenge here in the ruling that you've made. One is often long, lengthy answers or provocative answers will actually elicit disorder amongst members of the House, and if you're indicating that disorder stemming from that therefore gives ministers licence to go on even further or be even more provocative in their answers, then I actually think that's going to lead to more disorder in the House, not less.
The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, also on the day in question, there was a very audible derogatory comment from a member directed at yourself. So I presume, sir, that you have considered the tapes, listened to the tapes, and will be aware of that comment. Is it your intention to leave the matter with the warning that you've given the House today, or should it be taken somewhat further? I realise that if there was a privilege case to be brought, it should have been brought as soon as possible. But given the severity and the ridiculous nature of the comment, two almost contradictory things, it was decided, certainly on our side, to leave your consideration to the undertaking you had given to the House last week.
Can I first address the points raised by Chris Hipkins? With regards to tabling, the point I'm making in that ruling is I will be asking the member who seeks to table whether they've done some work to ascertain. There will be occasions when an answer is given that, to the best of their knowledge, it is not publicly available. That will be perfectly acceptable. With regards to the point about ongoing provocative answers, if the member had listened, I said quite clearly that I will be the sole adjudicator as to the length of answers, but I'm equally saying to ministers answering questions, once the question is answered, that is sufficient. To go on and then add provocative words is unhelpful, leads to disorder, and I will be dealing with that more severely than the past. With regards to the point raised by the Honourable Jerry Brownlee, I looked at the transcript of Hansard's. I then watched the proceedings as available via parliamentary TV. I could hear no interjection at all delivered by any member. So if it wasn't available for me to adjudicate. If there was an unparliamentary remark on this occasion, I think that member may well get off very, very lightly. If it's an interjection that occurs in the back half of the House, it is often heard by members who sit in the back half of the House. It may not necessarily be picked up by Hansard. It may not be picked up on me in the position that I sit. But if the members study that ruling carefully, the final paragraph was, there have been, on occasion, some very unparliamentary comments hurled across at various members. That will cease, or I suspect there will be members who persistently do that. They risk being named in this House.